Hi guys, it's Kamil here. So I have finally read A Little Life. Basically from the moment this book was out, it was so hyped here on BookTube, as well as everywhere in literary world, that it was almost ridiculous. All of that made me smell the melodrama on this novel from miles, and I was very hesitant as for picking it up. Then it was longlisted for Man Booker Prize, and I was thinking, yeah, sure, let's make Booker more mainstream. Then it was shortlisted, and I was running out of excuses not to pick it up. But I was still waiting until Marlon James received his well deserved statuette, and only then I cracked A Little Life wide open and started reading it. I will keep away from spoilers as much as I can in this review. I will just refer to the first scene. So we can see Willem and Jude being shown around the apartment that eventually they end up renting. And I was thinking, wow, clever. Generally, this type of scenes are reserved for couples in literature, most of the time straight couples. And here we have two friends acting almost as newlyweds. I really like that. I kept on reading, and after a couple dozen of pages, I was thinking too much words. I've read around 70 pages and I felt like I've read 3 paragraphs because the information that she was throwing at me were irrelevant. I really don't have to know what JB friends, JB is one of 4 main protagonists of this novel. I really don't have to know what JB friends work in. They never reappear in the novel later on, and I was thinking this is irrelevant. I almost felt as watching a soap opera where you can skip a few episodes and you still know what's going on. But then, shortly after, around 75th page or so, there is a first information regarding Jude's life. Jude is the main protagonist, basically, of this novel. This is first information of many that will basically shape this book into what it is. And from that moment, you are hooked. It's really hard to put this down. It's not because of the writing, because the writing is very average. Sometimes it's even messy. But she is able to create this type of atmosphere that is heavy, suffocating, but so addictive that you are in it until you're done with this novel. At least this is the way it was for me. Everything here in this novel is larger than life, is exaggerated, it verges on good taste. Everything, as far as good and evil are considered. This is a novel where almost all the good and evil from our world was packed in this format, exaggerated to second power or even to third. This is how it is. And that made me look at it as a fairy tale because it was so unrealistic. And when I written something like that on Goodreads, one of my Goodreads friends referred me to Guardian article in which Yanagihara talks about this book. And this is also how she sees it and how she thinks about it. Let me give you a quote. It's not spoilery. By the way, don't read this article until you are done with this book because other parts of it are spoilery. And yeah, I was grateful, but not so much. So, Yanagihara's quote. I wanted there to be something too much about the violence in the book, but I also wanted there to be an exaggeration of everything. An exaggeration of love, of empathy, of pity, of horror. I wanted everything turned up a little too high. I wanted it to feel a little bit vulgar in places, or to be always walking on that line between out and out sentimentality and the boundaries of good taste. I wanted the reader to really press up against that as much as possible, and if I tipped into it in a couple of places, well, I couldn't really stop it. So I think people that criticize it based on the fact that it's not realistic miss the point here. It's not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to be exaggerated. It's supposed to be over the top. It's supposed to be larger than life. Thus, reading it as a fairy tale makes you a bit detached from everything that goes on here. Sure it does, but at the same time, you are keep on asking the questions that this book's supposed to make you ask. What are the limits of friendship? What are the limits of pain? Can somebody be so damaged by life that it's impossible to fix him? If a person should have a right to end his life if he doesn't feel like living? Yanagihara asks all of that questions without stepping back. She doesn't think about the reader. She doesn't think, or maybe if she does think, if it's too much, it doesn't make her stop. She pushes forward. She throws all of that things at you. And that boldness, verging on being cheap, is what makes it work. I'm touching only upon main themes that this book is about. But there are other topics that could be discussed in relation with this novel. The idea of modern relationship, the idea of fluidity between hetero and homonormativity, the idea of modern culture of work, the place of politics in our modern lives. And have you noticed what she does with time in this novel? That's also very interesting. Yeah, A Little Life is really worth a read. I admit that. I was wrong. Never judge a book based on what you hear on BookTube. Sorry. Yeah, as I said, it's worth a read, but please don't read it as a realistic novel. It's not meant to be read like that. It's not a realistic one, but it's a great one. I still don't know how to rate it though. Okay guys, tell me if you read it. Obviously you did. Tell me if you agree with me or not. Tell me what you loved the most in this book. And tell me if you are planning to read it after you heard my review and maybe you were hesitant before. One last thing. I just hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. I never thought I would get here. And if you have any ideas or any requests as for the videos you would like me to make, please leave a comment down in the box below. Okay guys, that's it. Bye bye.